Alright guys, Kasper Ozolowski here in Melbourne, Australia, in Etihad Stadium before UFC 193 for Submission Radio and Fight Magazine. We've got Jake Matthews right here, we've got Dan Kelly to the right of me. Oh, thank you, what a gentleman. It's been such a long time in the making, since UFC Sydney, UFC 110 in 2010. Everybody's been asking, when's the Melbourne show coming? And every year I feel like we've been, passed by. Adelaide happened, you guys both fought in Adelaide, Queensland's happened, and now finally Melbourne gets its turn. Is this like a dream come true for you guys?
Oh, absolutely. I remember when I first started the sport about 6 years ago, there was always talk about, a possible event in Melbourne. Maybe not of this magnitude and this size, but that just adds to it. The atmosphere is going to be amazing. Walking out of the tunnel for the first time, I've never been on the field before. So yeah, it's completely different when you walk out and you just see the size of the arena, and you can just, I'm pretty sure Dan as well, we can just picture every single seat in here being filled. Our music's playing, we can see the octagon. Yeah, it's going to be something.
Dan, I'll get to you in a second, but let me ask you something. 2010, like I said, first, you'll get your turn down. First UFC in here, what were you doing in 2010?
2010, I probably just had my first amateur fight. I just had my first amateur fight, September 2010. And that's sort of kick-started it for me, the way that fight went, the way I won. Yeah, it's just what sort of kick-started my career and just ignited the passion for the sport. And now, it's led to this, so wouldn't have had it any other way.
Fast forward now, I mean, it's 5 years later. Did you ever expect that not only would you be competing, it's not just a big event, it's not just a main event with a title fight, it's not just a numbered pay-per-view, it could potentially set the record for the for the biggest crowd. They're looking at possibly 70,000, if you can get lucky. How do you feel being part of something like that?
Yeah, being part of, his history in the making, this event. I always hoped that I'd be in the UFC, and that was always the dream. To be here now, and all the hard work's paid off, and to be a part of this history-changing event, that's the dream for me, and especially to fight in front of a hometown crowd of this size. Not a UFC event. Your average UFC event is just the atmosphere is amazing. So this is going to be like 10 times the size of your average event. So it's going to be crazy. I can't wait.
Dan, I'm sorry to keep you waiting, my friend. You've competed at the Olympic Games. Obviously, that was a massive thing. Sydney 2000, I remember the atmosphere here in Australia. Did you ever think that something would surpass that, as it seems like this might? And will that surpass the Olympic Games for you, competing at UFC 193?
It'll be massive. Surpass, I don't know. This is really exciting. I mean, to be part of this, because this is the first time we have a title fight in Australia, and so to be part of that, it's a huge history thing, and we've been pushing for this for a while. With the change of government and getting the cage down here, which is much safer for fighters. I can't wait. I mean, there's no more motivation or anything needed than preparing for this.
Is there pressure? You came off, obviously, UFC Adelaide, you had a tough loss, tough outing against Sam Alvey. Now you're coming back, you're going to be fighting in front of your home crowd, a much, much bigger crowd than Adelaide. Is there pressure on you to perform?
No. Every fight in the UFC is important. The fact that I've lost, I'm disappointed. That's history now. We're just going to go forward and win this fight coming up. I mean, it's a good matchup for me, in my opinion, and just train hard, train smart, and get in there, and I'm going to enjoy this one. I can't wait.
Before you get in there, before you get in the cage and enjoy it, I mean, potentially 70,000 people, what do you think is going to go through your mind when you walk through the tunnel? Like Jake mentioned, you're going to be walking out. It's going to be a much longer walk than most arenas, especially, in Adelaide, especially in ASA Arena or Allphones Arena in Sydney. What do you think is going to be going through your mind?
Oh, I mean, you try and stay calm. You want to focus on what you're doing, but you'd be silly not to take in the moment. I mean, this is history. I mean, we're going to be fighting in a stadium. Not many people get to do. I mean, to get to fight in the UFC is one thing. Get to fight on a numbered card in a stadium. It's only a handful of fighters in the world, and in your hometown. I mean, it's going to be awesome. I can't wait.
Jake, just want to speak to you again. Obviously, you're coming off a tough loss. Prior to that, in UFC Adelaide, you were undefeated. Tough loss to James Vick. How do you come back from something like that? And more what I'm sort of trying to get is, how did you deal with that loss? What was going through your mind after that fight?
As Dan said, you use it as fuel and motivation. You don't sort of look back on it and be disappointed. You learn from it and move forward. Take what you learned in the training. Me and Dad, so we were straight back in the hotel room after the fight. And Dad said, "Oh, what do you want to do?" And I said, "I want you to email Joe Silver and get me another fight as soon as I can." So that was my mindset after the fight, just get back in there, redeem myself. Losses do happen. I always wanted to be undefeated, but it happened, learn from it, and like Dan said, just move forward.
You and your dad, obviously, you guys are very close. He's your head coach. I think a lot of UFC fighters, they go to training camp, they train, they win their fights, and then they get in touch with their family. They give them the results, or if their family's watching, obviously they know. But it's not everyone goes through a training camp with someone as close as their father. What's that like? And is there pressure, having your dad with you for every step of the way?
Not at all. Like you said, Dad's there every step through the training camp, and having a family member there makes it a lot more personal. They want the best for you, so it's not like it's just like a coach. He's my dad as well. We're able to separate the two during training, but like I said, he wants the best for me. He's only going to give me the best training, the best advice, and I just feel more comfortable when Dad's in my corner. I fought once before without Dad in the corner, and it didn't feel right. So to have Dad there every fight, I think it just works well, and we found a way to make it work.
You were supposed to fight on Glasgow originally. You got injured. I mean, you may have very well won that fight quickly, or you may have been banged up, could have had an injury, a cut, something happened. The fact that you did get injured, I mean, if you did get injured in that fight, you may not have been fighting at this massive show. Do you think, in a way, in the sense of everything happens for a reason, you kind of lucked out, and maybe, in a way, that injury was a good thing because now you're going to be fighting on this massive card, whereas before, you may not have? Yeah,
look, I don't look past any fight. I wasn't thinking, I could get injured in this fight and might be able to fight in Melbourne. It was just Glasgow. We were advised that I wouldn't be wise to fight on it. I could barely walk on it. So, it was hard. It took me a while to make the decision, but at the end of the day, it's not about the next fight that's coming up. It's about my own health, being able to just get over rehab quick. It was either 6 weeks or continue training, injure it more, and they said 6 months, 12 months with surgery. So it was sort of it was a hard decision, but I think it was the right one at the end of the day.
I've got one more question. When we interviewed you on UFC Adelaide, the media day, we came away thinking, for a 21-year-old, he's ridiculously confident and ridiculously calm. And I mean that in a good way. You were so composed. You said you felt no pressure. After your first loss of your career, does that change at all? Did that take away some of the steam from you? Did you lose any of your confidence, or are we going to see the exact same Jake Matthews at UFC 193?
No, it's going to be, you'll see the old Jake Matthews. That fight, fighting on a main card, and there was a lot of media beforehand. I'm not going to lie, I got to my head and had my head up in the clouds, and thought I was something a bit more special than what I am. That definitely played a part. You could see I was in there, I was showboating too much and got caught. So
you were clapping your hands to get the crowd going. Do you think that sort of took away from the fight a little bit, took you out of the moment?
Yeah, look, in my fight in Sydney, it was a spur of the moment. The crowd cheered and I just clapped along. In the Adelaide fight, it's like I was waiting for that to happen again because some people had mentioned it, so I was waiting for it, trying to play into the crowd too much. But I guarantee that won't happen this time. I won't even notice the crowd. Even though it's going to be a massive crowd, 60-odd thousand people, I won't even take notice of one person.
With that many people, it's going to be hard not to notice them. But guys, thank you so much for your time, and we can't wait. Thanks, Jake. Thank you so much, Dan.